Chancellor, we now hear this hue and cry about reforming the curriculum so that when graduates go out into the job market, they are equipped with more learning and skills in the area of STEM. Tell us about STEM.
Well, STEM is an acronym, stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math. And that acronym is now floating through education all over the United States, and I would suggest all over the world. It is clear, Steve, that in the 21st century there must be a greater emphasis on science, technology, engineering, and math to deal with the world of work that we're going to see continue to develop in high-wage, high-skill, high-job opportunities for not only Florida and the country, but again, for the entire planet. So it is a little bit like when I was a boy and Sputnik was launched, that little satellite that the Russians put into orbit that began for the United States the space race. And we got very heavy in education, even when I was a little one in elementary school, into a greater emphasis on science and math. The idea was if we wanted to compete with the Russians in the space race, we needed to get kids excited about this. Well, this is a little different generation of the space race. If we want our students to be competitive, if we want our economy to be competitive on a global scale, we have to do more in the world of science, technology, engineering, and math education so that students will be better prepared for that world of work. Now, that doesn't mean that we'll be jettisoning the humanities and the fine arts. Universities need to provide a well-rounded curriculum, but we are behind in the number of students coming to us prepared for a curriculum in the world of science, technology, engineering, and math.
In terms of where we are now versus where we want to get. You were kind of going in that direction. Where are our universities now in terms of courses available in those areas? And where are we now in terms of students that are wanting to take those courses and ready to take those courses?
Well, of course, all of our universities offer the STEM courses. They don't all have engineering schools, but they do offer science, technology, math, and then most of our universities do have engineering colleges. But at the end of the day, we are still seeing more students come to us who want to take the humanities and the fine arts programs, which are fine, but it isn't because many of them are just inclined to the humanities and the fine arts. More and more of our students are not prepared for the rigor of science, technology, engineering, and math. And so this goes all the way back to K through 12, and it is creating a greater emphasis there on these issues so that students who then want to matriculate to higher education come with the desire and the capability to plug in to those advanced curricula. And so it's really very important that we continue to work with our lower ed partners and our friends in the Florida college system to create that talent supply chain to make sure that we can increase the number of graduates by increasing the number of applicants to those particular programs.
When you were Commissioner of Education, was that a priority even then?
It was, and it has been for Florida. The good news is we have huge numbers of students going into science, technology, engineering, and math. I don't want to give anyone the impression that no one's taking those courses or graduating from those programs. Simply not enough, though, for the 21st century. So it's a matter of better balancing our academic portfolio, continue to offer the broad-based curriculum of the humanities, the fine arts, the arts, but also a greater emphasis to bring up science, technology, engineering, and math, because we lagged for a period of time. I think we got comfortable after Sputnik, after the space race, and I think it's time to re-energize and create a greater enthusiasm on the part of education at all levels that science, technology, engineering, and math are going to be critical to the future of our state, our country, and our world, and therefore we've got to do a better job of preparing our students for it.
I would think, too, that having those capabilities and the students in our universities, that would be very important for economic development in Florida. I've heard the governor talk about that, but in terms of universities being a magnet to draw in corporations and so forth, having students with those kinds of skills, that would be important.
Florida's history of economic development has been based on agriculture, which is still the second largest industry in the state of Florida, and long may it prosper. Tourism, 180 million people visited our state last year and pumped huge amounts of money into our economy. And old-fashioned growth. Before the recession, we were growing 1,000 people a day. But we have to create a knowledge-based economy for the future of Florida as well. We want to find the cure for cancer here in the Sunshine State, the new technology that will replace the laptop computer and the handheld device. We need to find that here in the Sunshine State. We need to be a mecca for economic growth of those businesses that already reside here, in the world of health, in the world of simulation technology, in the world of space and aerospace, in the world of biotech. But we also have to continue to draw new business and industry to the Sunshine State. You do that by creating a lucrative, vivid vision for higher education in this state, and that's what we're beginning to do now.
Let's draw all this together and go forward. I know you like to think about where you're going rather than where you've been. And I know that your organization has set some goals, and you're working through task forces to go in 4 different directions to achieve some things, some of which we've discussed here today. Let's talk about these 4 task forces. I'll let you kind of take the lead. I may ask some follow-up questions.
Well,
You've got 4 task forces.
We do, and as I mentioned earlier, we have our strategic plan, our university work plans, our accountability outcome system. But our Board of Governors, with the vision of our chair, Dean Colson out of Miami, has put together 4 work groups. One is working on online education. Florida's a major player in higher education and online education. This one is about, though, how can we better organize it for efficiency and add services to it that will give students who are enrolled in online education a greater chance of success. Number 2 is the issue of PICO. We mentioned that earlier. We have a work group that will be coming back in November to the legislature with recommendations on how we might refund public education capital outlay and how we can better prioritize what we need by way of classrooms and laboratories. We have another that is working on access, this notion of if we need tens of thousands more baccalaureate degrees over the next 20 or 25 years in the state of Florida, we know that our current system, as big as it is beginning to run out of access opportunities. Can we work closely with our Florida college system, our private providers in the world of the independent colleges and universities, to organize and better organize how we interface to create greater baccalaureate degree opportunities, perhaps without building new from scratch institutions of higher education for the next 25 years. And then the issue of the Florida Polytech. The Florida Polytech has a group working on that that will take a brand new idea, which is to create a university that is solely focused on science, technology, engineering, and math, located in the Lakeland area off of I-4, and build it into a world-class entity that will increase the number of STEM-educated students for Florida and help bolster Florida's future in the world of economic development. So these 4 are working now. The governor's task force is going to work very carefully with everything that we're doing. The governor is committed to making certain that we're not stepping on each other's toes so that we can get it right for the 21st century.
Let's talk about the Florida Polytech University. It was controversial during the session in terms of where it would be located and whether it would be at the University of South Florida or in Lakeland as a separate 12th new public university. That debate is over. Now the question is, what will its mission be? When will it come online, et cetera. Give us an update. I know you mentioned that there's a task force now working on this. Will it open this fall? So forth, so on. How do you see it fitting within the total university system? I know it's early, but give us a little overview.
Well, I just came from a meeting of the Board of Governors work group led by our Vice Chair, Maureen Husseini, out of Daytona Beach, and 2 other members, and the members of the Board of Trustees from the University of South Florida. To go back quickly in history, the University of South Florida was to organize and be the envelope university in the creation of Florida Polytech, a Polytech institute that was strictly looking at how we could increase the numbers of diplomas in the area of science, technology, engineering, and math. There are polytechs scattered around the country by virtue of that fact as well. But at the same time, USF would have provided, if you will, the umbrella opportunity there. Well, with a change in law that was just signed by the governor, we changed directions. Not totally. The idea now is to create the Florida Polytech for the future of the state. It will be in the Lakeland area, as I mentioned, off of I-4, but it will be a freestanding institution from the jump. As of today, the Florida Polytech has been created with the stroke of the governor's pen. We will be putting in place a board of trustees within the next several weeks that will then oversee the growth and development of that institution. University of South Florida is still providing some support services in the interim. That board of trustees will find a new president. We'll have to hire a faculty, a staff, an administration. There won't be students in place for this fall, 2012, okay, but we're beginning to eyeball 2013 and the fall of 2013 to be able to get it up and operational. There's one major building under construction right now that should be completed in about a year. So we're looking at 2013 for the enrollment of students who are very interested and excited in a world of STEM education.
Got about a minute left. The idea of an online university. I understand that that's a priority for our incoming speaker, Mr. Weatherford. What is an online university and how many people could it theoretically serve?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, Florida is a leader in the world of online education. What this is meant to do is create a much more organized approach. And one of the task forces we have working right now takes up the issue of online education, how we can better organize the curriculum and the services that students need in order to successfully navigate that curriculum. We'll be coming back with recommendations to the legislature by November of this year.
Chancellor Brogan, it's been a real pleasure and we'll have you back again.
Thanks, Steve, anytime.
Okay.